To the story, you can grab the Nation newspaper.
Still on the Guardian newspaper, ministers in charge of key infrastructure and service delivery agencies are grappling with a severe funding squeeze as figures obtained by the Punch showed that MDAs received less than 1 trillion naira for capitals in the first 7 months of 2025. The data used for this report was the most updated available from the Budget Office of the Federation, as the agency had yet to release comprehensive full year implementation figures despite the fiscal year being well advanced. Analysts and public finance experts have repeatedly criticized the Budget Office for delays in publishing up to date budgets and performance data for what they described as weak transparency standards in the dissemination of government fiscal information, particularly under the current administration of Bola Tinubu. For more details of this story, please visit the Punch newspaper.
Still on the Nation newspaper, Ondo APC chair Adeti Menyi assaulted as suspected threat in vague stakeholders meeting. The chairman of All Progressive Congress (APC) in Ondo State, Adeti Menyi, has accused members of the National Union of Road Transport Workers (NURTW) of disrupting a scheduled stakeholders meeting of the party ahead of world congresses. Adeti Menyi, who spoke to reporters yesterday, shortly after an attack on the party secretariat on Ilesha Garage Road, alleged that NURTW members, led by their chairman Ademola Odudu, stormed the party secretariat and attacked members and officials during the meeting. He accused the Odudu-led NURTW members of bringing thugs to assault and beat him up while forcing their ways into the party secretariat, harassing everyone. Yesterday, the National Secretariat of our party called for a stakeholders meeting and asked us to assemble at 2 p.m. We did, and they sent for the Congress Committee and Appeal Committee. To have an insight into the story, you can grab the Nation newspaper.
Still on the Guardian newspaper, founder of the School of Politics, Policy and Governance, Dr. Obiageli Ezekwesili, has expressed strong confidence in electronic transmission of election results as a decisive measure to curb electoral manipulation in Nigeria. If we use this electronic system properly, nobody will be able to alter results or engage in manipulation, said the former Minister of Education in a statement on Tuesday as she urged stakeholders to prioritize transparency in the electoral process while stressing that democracy belongs to the citizens and not to political office holders. The former vice president of the World Bank accused some members of the Senate of attempting to undermine electoral transparency by opposing moves to make electronic transmission of election results mandatory in law. Ezekwesili alleged that certain lawmakers were plotting to frustrate reforms that would guarantee real-time electronic transmission of results directly from polling units, warning that such resistance would weaken public trust in the country's democratic institutions. According to her, the process of e-transmission is straightforward and has already been successfully implemented in previous off-cycle elections across the country. For more insight into this story, please visit the Guardian newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, our church massacre, suspected terrorists paid, mobilized for attack, says DSS witness. A witness of the Department of State Services, DSS, yesterday told the Federal High Court in Abuja that the suspected terrorists were funded, armed, and mobilized to attack St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church, Owo, in Ondo State on June 5, 2022. The witness, who was giving his testimony under protection, led a DSS investigation team into the attack. He gave details of the roles played by the defendants in the attack, in which he said over 40 people died while over 100 individuals sustained various injuries. Identified as SSI for security reasons, the witness, who was the ninth prosecution witness, PW9, spoke while giving his evidence before Justice Emeka Nwite. The News Agency of Nigeria report that the prosecution also tendered what is described as a comprehensive investigation report on the incident, which the court admitted in evidence in the absence of objection from the defense and marked as exhibit in the case. To have an insight into the story, you can head on to the Vanguard newspaper.
Still on the Guardian newspaper, the House of Representatives on Tuesday descended into a rowdy session after it moved to rescind its earlier decision on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025 following a controversial voice vote presided over by Speaker Abbas Tajuddin. The resolution followed a motion moved by Honorable Francis E. Wave pursuant to Order 916 of the Standing Orders of the House during an emergency plenary. Leading the debate, Wave reported that the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025 was passed on Tuesday, December 23, 2025. He, however, explained that a technical committee comprising the leadership of both chambers of the National Assembly, members of the Conference Committee, the clerks of the Senate, and the House of Representatives, as well as legal drafting experts from the Directorate of Legal Services of the National Assembly, later met to harmonize the bill and address identified anomalies. According to him, the committee discovered inconsistencies and unintended consequences in some of the provisions of the legislation. He stressed the need to ensure that electoral timelines and statutory provisions promote maximum participation, fairness, inclusivity, administrative efficiency, and public confidence in the electoral system. It has become imperative to correct the identified inconsistencies and unintended consequences through appropriate legislative action in order to safeguard the integrity of the electoral framework. We've argued. For more details of this story, please visit the Guardian newspaper.
Still on the Vanguard newspaper, Dangote signs $400 million equipment deal to fast-track refinery expansion. Dangote Group has signed a $400 million construction equipment agreement with XCMG Construction Machinery Co. Limited, of one Chinese leading manufacturers of construction machinery, in a move set to accelerate the expansion of the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and petrochemicals from 650,000 barrels per day to 1.4 million barrels per day, positioning it to become the largest refinery in the world. The agreement will enable the group to acquire an additional wide range of advanced construction equipment to support ongoing and forthcoming projects across refining, petrochemicals, agriculture, large-scale infrastructure development. The new equipment will complement existing assets deployed for the refinery expansion, which is expected to be completed within 3 years. Beyond refining, the expansion program will see polypropylene production increase from 900,000 metric tons per annum to 2.4 million metric tons per annum. For details of the story, you can head on to the Vanguard newspaper.
Finally, from the Guardian newspaper, I have this headline: sachets of alcoholic drinks on display at Aswani Market. Distillers under the Aegis of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Senior Staff Association (FOPTOP) and the National Union of Food, Beverages and Tobacco Employees have again appealed to the federal government to enforce status quo, directing the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) to immediately ban sachet alcoholic drinks on hold, warning that more workers have been laid off. The distillers who gathered yesterday at the Lagos office of NAFDAC expressed dissatisfaction over the continued enforcement of the ban, as it could further strain Nigeria's fragile employment landscape. National Secretary of FOPTOP, Jeffrey Egan, stressed the need for the federal government's intervention, warning that the continued ban poses a serious threat not only to local manufacturers but also to workers across multiple states. He noted that the protest, which is also currently going on in Abuja, is expanding to Aba, as the workers have also joined, adding that more workers across the country would soon hold a massive protest against the ban. For more details of this story, please visit the Guardian newspaper.
Manufacturers agri sector face up to 60% interest rate. Manufacturers and operators in the agricultural sector are facing interest rates of up to 60%, according to latest data on deposits and lending rates released by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN). The data, among other things, revealed sharp increases in maximum lending rates across key segments of the economy. The data showed that while deposit rates remained largely stable between January 2nd and February 6th, 2026, lending rates, particularly maximum lending rates, rose in several banks and sectors. A breakdown of the figures indicated that Stanbic IBTC recorded the highest lending rate in the industry at 60%, applicable across multiple sectors including agriculture, forestry and fishing, manufacturing, professional services, information and communication, finance and insurance, as well as mining and quarry. The development underscores mounting credit pressures on productive sectors already grappling with high energy costs, foreign exchange volatility, and weak consumer demand. For details of the story, you can head on to the Vanguard newspaper.
Now moving forward to the Royal newspaper. The Ilorin Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) has secured an interim forfeiture order for 9 trucks loaded with assorted solid minerals and the final forfeiture of the contents of another truck as part of efforts to curb illegal mining in Kwara and Oyo states. The order was granted on Tuesday by Justice Abimbola Abugboro of the Federal High Court sitting in Ilorin, following an ex parte application filed by the Anti-Graft Agency. The trucks were intercepted on February 1, 2026 during a sting operation by EFCC operatives, which led to the arrest of several suspects. According to the Commission, preliminary investigations indicated that the minerals were mined and transported without lawful authority. Counsel to the EFCC, Cosmas Ugu, told the court that the application was brought under relevant provisions of the EFCC Act 2004 and the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. He urged the court to restrain any disposal, sale, lease, mortgage, or tampering with the trucks and their contents pending the conclusion of investigations. For more details of this story, please visit the Royal newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, NIMASA commit to shipyard development, capital flight calls. The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, has reiterated its commitment to strengthen Nigeria's shipbuilding and shipyard development as part of efforts to deepen the blue economy and curb capital flight. Speaking at the stakeholder breakfast meeting organized by the agency themed Dissecting the Issues, Challenges and Prospects in the Shipbuilding Segment, discussing funding models, incentives and policy support for shipyards growth, the MASA's Executive Director of Operations, Engineer Ajayi Taofeeqoh noted that shipbuilding remains a capital-intensive, cyclical and technically demanding sector that requires deliberate policy and financial intervention to achieve sustainable growth. Adeyemi was represented by the Director, Marine Environment Management, Dr. Omar Ofodili, said the breakfast meeting was designed to provide a clear assessment of the structural challenges confronting the shipbuilding segment and to collectively agree on pragmatic funding models, incentives and policy options capable of driving competitive shipyard growth in Nigeria. So, an insight into the story, you can grab the Vanguard newspaper.
Alright, this is where we draw the curtains on the daily rundown today. It's been an amazing experience, and I am Treasure Ajayi.
And I am Taofeeqoh Bello. Good morning.
Please remember to stay tuned to Emirate Radio 98.5 FM and also follow us on all our social media platforms at Emirate Radio 98.5 FM. Good morning.